Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Under Construction. I trust that you have enjoyed every single segment, every single episode that's come out thus far. We've taken you on a journey. We've had an actress, we've had producers, we have had MCs, hosting events, how-tos. I mean, it has been such a thrill learning from the journeys of all these varied individuals. And today, we're doing it. We're doing the most. Listen, if this isn't my favorite episode yet, I don't even know. Listen, I already feel it. I already understand it. And then when I get up from the chair and I leave, and I drop the mic, you're also gonna understand because the gent that's joining us sometimes, you know, one of those stories you read and you sort of can't believe, and you think to yourself, it's either there really exists a God out there, or just some humans are able to endure. One of those two is happening with Jen. You know my stance. I know that there's a God out there, and this is like hand of God working over this man's life. But this is a story of endurance, a story of literally finding that thing that called out to him and pursuing it with all that it has. And just quick quote. Remember a couple of weeks ago when Nombuso, no, it wasn't Nombuso. It was Kopano. Kopano said that at some point you have to love the art until the art can love you. And this man with his craft has gotten to a point where it's beginning to love him back. And we're seeing him field on field crushing it every single time. We're joined by none other than Nathan Nkutu, CPUT number 11 winger. I'm not even going to say because there's something about number 11 wingers that's always been so close to my heart. Don't want to bring it up because it's going to seem like I'm a fangirl, which I am. Don't judge me. No one judge me. Okay. Nathan, welcome to Under Construction. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's super awesome to have you with us. Nathan, I just want to confess. Now, I need to confess because when Tusa tagged me on the video with you, and I was like, we're standing with Nathan and Gucci, number 11. I was like, oh, number 11. Number 11 at some point, was always, I have to explain the whole story. So in high school, I was in primary, because our high school and primary school were joined. I was in grade 6 and 7, and this human being was the number 11 for the rugby first team. And I was just like, this is my favorite number. And even at the movie houses, I would choose the 11th row and sit in the 11th chair. And so when they told me I was going to interview at number 11, I'm like, I'm here for it. I'm not even going to be late. Oh my goodness. It's such an honor having you here with us. So I just had to confess. If anyone sees me blush, listen guys, it's number 11. I couldn't help it.
It's a number.
Me. It's the number. Oh my goodness. So Nathan Kudu, I know a lot of people might not know, but you're not originally from South Africa. You moved to South Africa at a very young age from the DRC. How was that move into South Africa?
Initially the first time we moved here, it was just for, my mom wanted us to get a better life. It was a second chance at life because where I'm from, it's a bit difficult to just have something as basic as food on your plate and, have a warm shower, have a place to go to, it's just such stuff, you don't get that from where I'm from. So my mom just thought South Africa at that time was the best country we could possibly come to. So for us, the whole move was initially, it was just to give us a second chance. And my mom and my dad were still together at that time. And it was crazy seeing things that I only saw on TV and in movies and just coming this side. And it was just incredible. It was incredible coming this side, and it's a crazy journey as a whole.
Awesome. All right. And as you began that journey, when we see you now, I mean, not only is it a big surprise, I know for a few individuals, but also then we see a rugby player. I mean, he runs 100 meters in 10.72, or I was trying to memorize this. I was like, 10.72 seconds, 100 meters in 10.7 seconds. But who is Nathan, just beyond the field? Who is Nathan Nkutu?
Who is Nathan Nkutu? That's a very powerful question to ask. Well, Nathan Kudu is a boy that's always dreamed about representing something bigger than themselves. I've always been someone that's always, whatever I do in life, I've always had a why, I've always had a reason as to why I'm doing it. feel like that's one thing that's motivated me throughout my whole life. Growing up, it was quite challenging because I grew up without a father. I had a single mother that was unemployed, so she was unable to sustain for myself and my sisters. So which forced me then to move from house to house and go from family to family in order for them to take care of me and, just give me a plate of food, or give me a roof over my head. I mean, something as simple as a shower was quite challenging for me while growing up. So Nathan Nkutu is a person that stands for more than themselves. I'm a person that stands for each and every person that's been a part of my story. As I said, I come in front of you guys as one, but I stand as 10,000. 10,000, each and every person has been a part of my journey so far. So Nathan Kudu is not just one single person, but a lot of individuals that's put all their time and effort into creating this person that I am today. And it's something that I'll always be extremely grateful. Something that I learned throughout the years growing up is just how good everyone has been to me, just generosity. So I always live by a few mottos in my life, no matter what I do. One of them is never look down at anybody, only God says that hi. And the other one is I always believe in giving back. So service to others is the rent you pay for your room on earth. This is just to relate to my life. Everyone's been good to me, the generosity, each and every person that showed me. So Nathan Kudu is 10,000 people. It's what we call it. So yeah, that's who I am.
Awesome. And I love how you brought up that 10,000 people, because I know it's something you continue to say, and many people might not understand the reference of Nathan is always 10,000, and when you see me, you see 10,000. And I love how you just touched on the fact that you're not just you, but the influences that you had, the 1-minute conversations in a bus that impacted your life, and that act of kindness by a stranger, that's who you've become simply because of the walk that you've had. That's absolutely beautiful, man. And I actually celebrate and love the fact that you not only walk, but you carry that.
Thank you so much.
That you're not just Nathan, but you're the impact and the influences of 10,000.
Yeah, a whole community, a whole country, so we call it.
What is your earliest memory on the field? Take us back to that time, and what were you feeling? Because I don't know if they play like rugby is like an actual sport in DRC, but like now you're in South Africa. What's your earliest and fondest memory being on the field?
Okay, so where I'm from, rugby is it's not known for rugby. Rugby is not an international sport. You don't play it there. So initially, my first and my earliest memory of rugby, it's not me playing, but it's rather someone special in the game playing. So it was 2007 World Cup finals, and I'll never forget this specific day because on that day is the day where my father sort of abandoned us, and my mom and I and my sister, we lost completely everything that we had. We lost our home, we lost our car, and we were forced to move to one of our friends because we had nowhere else to go. So that day specifically stuck with me because that's the first time in my life I was on the radio on our way to my mom's friend's house that we're going to be staying for a couple of months. Was always the name. I heard the name over and over and over. I kept hearing Brana Banner, World Cup final. It's crazy because I look back now. I think that's initially what planted the seed within me. I didn't know it at that time because I was too young to understand. But a few years down the line, now that I sit and I think about it, I look back. I mean, that my earliest memory of rugby was just that, and I couldn't obviously watch the finals live, so SABC3 played the repeat of it, and I didn't know what rugby was. So I just made my time and effort to just sit there and actually just try to see who this Brandon Banner guy is and how everyone's going on about him. And I always said one day I'd like to be as good as this guy. So it started from a simple thing as just hearing someone's name and just that whole experience that I went through that time of my life. It just that was the only glimpse of hope that I had.
Wow, again, that's then answering the next question I was asked, what drew you to the game? But what kept you on the field? After being knocked the first few times, what kept you on the field?
What kept me on the field is because it's just something that I've always been a hard worker. I've never believed in giving up. I mean, I've been told a few times that I'm not good. But there's a lot of people ask me, why am I like I am? I mean, for me, I think it's because I've always had to fight for everything for myself. I've had to fight to go through schooling before I had to work at night just to support my family and I. I had to fight for every single thing that I ever got. I was never a favorite. I was never first choice. I never got things handed to me. It's always been me working hard. And what forced me or what's always been within me is like, I've always at the back of my head, it's never about the circumstances that you come from. It's always about how hard you work and how hard you want to better your life. I mean, the same boiling water that softens potato is the same water that can harden an egg. So it's just about who you are as a person, all the circumstances. It's not about the circumstances that you're going through, it's who you are as a person and what you're made of.
Oh man, that's absolutely beautiful. And right before we get into the next thing, because you keep mentioning parts of your story, and now just imagine there's someone somewhere out there watching this, and they're in the very same position that this is the picture of the position. You have got dreams that you love to pursue, but in the same place, you have to take care of your family. You have to sort of step up into a role that you never thought would be given to you at such a young age. What encouragement would you give to such a young man or woman who finds themselves wanting to pursue their dreams, but also knowing that I need to take care of my family?
Okay, so simply, it's just there's a few things actually. Well, number one, to the person that's listened to this that wants that encouragement is, you gotta then from a young age, you gotta stand for something. You gotta stand for something. You gotta know your whys. Your whys being the reason why you're doing what you're doing, the reason as to why you play the sport, or the reason why you're taking you initially go for that business. It's all the whys that you gotta identify. Number two, something that I've also lived by is if you don't come from a good family's got to come from you. So always have that in the back of your head, no matter what you do in life, always think about that, how you can better your life, not only for yourself, but for your family and for your future family. Another thing is, you should never let people pressure you into harvesting your seed when they're enjoying their harvest. So that's for me personally, it's all about timing and being patient. A lot of the time, I mean, we go on social media and we see someone else living a better life than us, and we all just imagine how we just wish it could be us. So don't let such stuff, just because someone is enjoying their harvest, don't let them pressure you into eating your seed. So I feel like that's the most important lesson I can give to someone. You gotta have a purpose, you gotta know your whys, and you gotta have patience.
That's absolutely amazing. Now, as a rugby player and an athlete, how have you been able to adjust to COVID-19, and what measures have you had to take into account? Because now you have to say, obviously, not that the game has changed, but the way that you're approaching the game has to completely change. So how have you adapted to changes that come with COVID-19?
At first, it was challenging. It was very, very challenging. But COVID-19 brought a lot of benefits with it, in terms of preparation, because normally the season would go throughout the whole year and you would have enough time to prepare for the next season. You have like a few months. But the whole of lockdown last year, that gave us more than enough time to prepare for the next season. I mean, I have a friend that's very close to my heart, D'Angelo Williams. Myself and him used to walk daily about 17 Ks just to go run on the fields, hit the gym, and then we walk all the way back another 17 K. So it was quite challenging times, and we do because we are still in the race at the moment, so we do like hill sprints and we run stairs. So for me personally, I feel like it was a blessing more than anything else, because it forced you to have laser focus on what you wanted to achieve in life, laser focus on what you wanted to achieve in rugby, and elsewhere, and it forced you to get closer to the people that around you that you never used to have time for because you're too busy throughout the year. So for me, it was mainly that was the biggest blessing. It's just that.
Oh, that's a very positive terms for COVID-19. Big up, Nathan. This guy's really a G. Listen. And guys, if you haven't yet subscribed or liked the channel, click like this video, then click the subscription button. And then, just because we premiere every Sunday, 5 p.m., but you might forget. So hit the bell notification so that you get notified every single time we premiere a live video. Now, Nathan, I need to know, what is one of the greatest life lessons that you learned from the field?
Okay, so one of the greatest life lessons that I've learned is when you're feeling like a failure on the field, when things are not going the best for you. Just remember all the obstacles that you've crashed and every single thing that you've came through. Remember all the setbacks you've overcome and all the battles that you've won. I mean, this journey through life it's tough as is, but just you must just trust the process, and remember the climb is always sweeter at the end of the road. At the end of every tunnel, there's always a brighter light, So one thing that I've learned the most on the field is to never give up, be patient, and and play for the people next to you. That's the biggest lesson I've learned in life, because I stand for that.
Awesome. And then what is your biggest aspiration outside of the field, outside of rugby? What are some of your aspirations or dreams beyond the field?
Okay, my biggest aspirations and my biggest goals in life is because the small place that I come from, which is Nkutu in the DRC, before moving to the capital city. Back home there isn't a medical facility, so there's no hospitals. It's like one clinic, one small little clinic. So my biggest goal in life will be to open up a hospital back home and name it after my mom. Although my mom hasn't really been that involved as much as what she would like to, but I'd like to name it after my mom, just because of all the courage, all the amount of effort and amount of love she supplied us with. I mean, we didn't have a lot of things growing up, but whenever she was around, she always made sure we at least have something, we at least have, you at least have hope. She gives a glimpse of hope, and she always encouraged me and says positive stuff and always prays with me. So my biggest goal in life would be to open a hospital back home and name it after my mom, after the rugby.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. Wow. Just going off the back of that, because like if anyone hasn't picked up already going into this episode, you're more than just a rugby player.
Yeah.
You're more just like, you really are. You carry such wisdom, like, and love. You genuinely like a genuinely loving person, which is absolutely amazing. But what do you think are some other characteristics about Nathan that people just sometimes miss?
Well, I think I like to think I'm a funny guy. Everyone thinks I'm all serious and I'm all deep and stuff, but most of the time I'm a very funny guy. I'm humble, down to earth, and if anyone sends a message, I'll make it on my way just to message it back. I think a lot of people miss the fact that I'm not just a serious guy, but I'm also a funny guy, and I'm normal. I'm an outgoing guy. Yeah, and I'm very about my religion, so I'm a big believer of Christ. So I think that's something that people might not pick up. So yeah, that's just me.
Well, the post-match interviews I've watched, you always start with "I'd like to thank the Lord." So there's no way we missed that one. There's no way we missed that one. And then you're capping. There's no way we missed that one. Oh man. Listen, if you had to speak to a young Nathan, an aspiring athlete, what advice would you give him?
Well, that's something that I've never thought about, actually. Thank you for putting me on the spot. But yeah, if I had to speak to a young Nathan, I think growing up back then, I didn't have a lot of patience and I didn't have a lot of direction, because it's tough growing up without a father. You don't have someone that's opening doors for you, and you don't have someone that's guiding you. So every shot you take, you're just taking a shot in the dark and hoping you land it. If I had to say anything to a younger Nathan, the only thing that I'll say to him is just be patient. I'll tell him to be patient. I think that's the most crucial time. And just be patient and be wise with your time, because time is something that once it's gone, you can never get back. So it's just about being patient and knowing how to manage my time well in terms of what I've been doing to my life. So yeah.
Awesome. And tell me, in this current season that you guys have been playing, what are you enjoying the most about being back on the field and defending the title? So what have you been enjoying about just sport or no field?
What I've enjoyed the most, just getting out in the field. I mean, it's just a privilege on its own, because rugby as a whole this year, as well, I stopped once the game, and a lot of boys and a lot of people didn't get the chance to go back on the field. I think personally, it's just getting back onto the field and knowing how much work and how much preparation you put before that, or before you got into the field. It's just seeing that pay off. For me personally, the most thing that I really, really, really enjoy the most is just being out there to play alongside, good players from other different universities. I mean, in the bubble, we got to see each other every single day. We got to see our position. I mean, it's weird because you only see them like once a week when you play against them. But in the bubble, you had to kind of live with them. And I had a few neighbors from TUT. Surprisingly, one of the boys, Wanga, he went to the academy with me. So we know each other. So we got to throw a bit of banter and spend a bit of time together. So the most important thing to me right now, though, I'm just privileged to be back on the field and just to be enjoying the game and just to be playing alongside alongside my teammates.
Awesome. Now, if you had to pick one song that you believe like this would depict my life right now, which song would it be?
Yo. Yo, what song would it be? Ooh, this is a tough question. This is something I have to actually think about. I think if I had to pick one song, it would be J. Cole, Love Yours.
Love Yours.
Yeah.
Okay, and for those who aren't familiar with the chorus, come through, man. Would you mind just belting it out? Just the chorus. Just the chorus.
There's no such thing as a life that's better than yours. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. No such thing, no such thing. So yeah, that's a chorus.
Man, well done. Oh man, thank you so much for humoring me on that one. Nathan, I have to because you can play any position in the back line from 11 straight to 15. You're running 100 meters in 10.7 seconds. I got my stats. Yeah. You're running 100 meters in 10.7 seconds. Why? Like what drives you to be able to just want to dominate, especially in the back line, just in that kind of manner? Like most people find a particular position, one niche, and that's what they play. And we see you then becoming this versatile athlete in the field that just you're there and you're prepared. What drives you to become that kind of player on the field that doesn't just play one position, but will be easily dominate like the entire back line?
Yeah, but the thing is, originally for me, it started, believe it or not, my first position was lock. I was a lock. And then from lock, I got moved to flank 8-man. And then after 8-man, I ended up in the center in the back line. But what drives me is the fact that I like being an overachiever. You know, I'm never satisfied with just one good thing. I always feel like I can always achieve more. So I always push myself outside my comfort zone. And throughout the years, coaches have always challenged me and put me in different positions. And I believe in adaptability. So I've had to adapt, and that's one thing that's driven me is that no matter where I am, I'm just grateful to play in the sport, to play the sport that I'm able to. Earlier in the year, I came across a guy named Dan Lombard. He recently passed, which was quite sad because I met him just in the bubble, in the Varsity Shield bubble, and he approached me and he wanted to do something with varsity sports or Varsity Cup as a whole. So Dan Lombard he went to Pretoria Boys, and he injured his neck when he was playing rugby, which forced him to stop, and he's been in a wheelchair ever since. You know, it's been tough. It's just such stuff that's, you know, when you meet such people in life that inspire you, that tell you to tell your story, and you know, that's just been through so much. You know, that's motivation enough. You know, just be blessed and just you're able to play the sport that you do, and he wasn't able to unfortunately play that after that. He's just been working for the Varsity Sports and the Blue Bulls. But you know, such stuff is what drives me. The fact that I'm able to play the sport, and whenever I go into the field, I want to make my mark. I want to make my presence felt. I don't want to just be another number. When I go on the field, it's not about just being another number. It's about being more than that. It's about representing a lot more. And I feel like the biggest thing that drives me is every time I go on the field, I know my whys as to why I'm doing the sport and as to why I'm playing that specific position.
Yeah. Well, so from 2017, when you first represented the Western Province in the under 19 team, and that was your first taste of professional rugby, and now you're playing for CPUT Varsity Cup. What do you think is the greatest lesson you've learned just being professionally on the field, as opposed to just playing the game because you love it?
Well, I think the greatest lesson I've learned, or the most important lesson I've learned, going from Western Province to CPUT, is there's a very fine line between the players. Like in terms of professionally, everyone thinks professional, everyone's better, but in all honesty, we're all on the same level. And the greatest lesson I've personally learned on the field is, you know, is to never underestimate anyone. To never underestimate anyone or the background of the story where they come from, because rugby is a very diverse sport. Rugby is a very, very diverse sport. So it's just appreciating the people that are in your team and the people that are pulling strings for you to get you in better position to either finish or to either do something great. So the greatest lesson I've learned is just to appreciate the people around you, to appreciate and enjoy the moment. Because I feel like, you know, in life we move too far ahead that you stop, and we don't really stop to look at how far we've come. I feel like the greatest lesson for me as well is just that, you know, just enjoy the journey, and once in a while just stop and actually look at how far you've come from the little boy that dreamed about representing South Africa one day here in Brandabella to where I am. It's been a blessing. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. And now, quick question before um, we're nearing the end. What is one piece of advice in terms of team building and gelling with your team would you give to a young athlete and a young rugby player who's a star on the field? But now, what advice would you give in terms of building and being part of a team?
Okay, so one advice that I'll tell them is you have to tick those boxes. You have to tick those boxes, because if you don't tick the boxes, the next person or the coaches are just going to cross them. So in terms of that, you must tick the boxes, whether it's fitness wise, whether strength and conditioning wise. I think a lot of people, young athletes, don't take that into consideration. You have to tick the boxes. You have to make sure you're doing more than expected from you. You have to make sure that you're working when no one's watching. The days that you feel like not getting out of bed, you feel like just laying in bed, I feel like those are the days that you push the most. Those are the different. That's the difference between a normal rugby player or a normal sport person, a sport woman, to what's called a supreme athlete. You have to keep grinding. You have to put those hours in. You have to do the early mornings. You have to do late nights. It's all about hard work. I mean, we all know that saying. I mean, you know, hard work beats talent when talent is not prepared to work hard. So it's all about hard work and all about consistency, and just keep knocking on the door. One door's gonna open for you.
Now, what can we expect from Nathan Kudu in the future?
What can you expect from me in the future? Okay, firstly, I'm still a student, so obviously I plan on graduating. I feel like that's the most important thing at the moment for me. Rugby second to my studies. Yeah, I plan on graduating in the future, and from there, I've been told a lot. Hey, I got a good voice for radio. I got a good person. I could become a presenter. But at the moment, for me, my most important thing, I just really want to make my mom and them proud, and my family all the way back in the Congo proud. So in the future, you can expect big things for me. I don't want to make it too much, but yeah, you can expect big things from me. You can expect a whole success story, because this is only the beginning. This is only the start.
That's absolutely amazing. I feel like there's one part of your life we just completely ignored, was the fact that you are a student. Quick one right before we go is, how would you advise an individual, or how do you balance being a student and being in professional rugby? As you say, that's actually your studies. I was under the impression anyway, your studies actually take precedence over rugby. So how do you balance that?
Yeah, so the thing is, the studies has to come first, because there's a rule of varsity and the varsity sports, Varsity Cup and Varsity Shield. You have to obtain 60 credits in order for you to qualify to play next season. So yeah, whether you like it or not, as soon as you're a student, you have to put the time and effort into books. So you have to have a whole timetable as to when you have studies, or when you're going to study, or when you're going to go to the field. And I feel like that's the hardest thing, is just balancing and taking yourself out from the world, switching yourself off a bit, because I feel like a lot of people can get lost in that whole circle, so we may call it, where the media is there, the fans are there, the rugby is there, and everyone can just push aside their studies, because studies doesn't make a lot of noise. I mean, it's either you want it or you don't want it. I feel like that's the most important thing, is just manage your time wisely. Managing your time wisely is the best way to go, and you need to know when to switch off each and everything to stop for your studies.
And when you look back at your journey, is there anything that you would change?
When I look back at my journey, I wouldn't change a single thing. I wouldn't change a single thing. You know, like, it's funny enough that someone asked me this question the other day, and then I told them exactly the same thing, and then they asked me, they're like, "So wouldn't you want to have a father?" I'm like, "No, actually, I wouldn't." And it sounds as harsh as it sounds, but I believe if I had one, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. I wouldn't be trying to push myself harder. I wouldn't be trying to push for new heights and, just want to reach for new goals. I feel like if I had to go back, I wouldn't change a single thing because that wouldn't make me me. So yeah.
Wow, such an amazing journey. And we expect even greater things to come in the future. Nathan, thank you so much for joining us on Under Construction today. You've been an absolute darling and a star. We love you, and we love just watching your journey unfold, and we celebrate your journey of becoming. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been such an honor.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity just to speak about me, my life. I'll hopefully someone that's listening out there and that they will be inspired by my story and just know that you must just keep working hard and all those doors are open.
Awesome. And what an inspiring story it really is. Listen, guys, if you have not only just picked up one or two things, like just to tweak in your life as an individual, you messing about. When you look at lives and stories like Nathan's, you can't help but to want to push harder. I'm sitting here going, when I'm done, I'm gonna do I need to do more, simply because of the journey and the endurance and the fact that he continues to press on and to push forward. So I trust that you really enjoyed this episode. If you did, and I know you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't be that guy. Don't be a hater. We don't like haters on Under Construction. We don't like haters on Under Construction. We don't. Yeah, let me focus. So please give it a thumbs up and then subscribe to the channel if you haven't as yet, and then click the notification button so that you can be notified every single time that we premiere a brand new video. Check out our Instagram and Facebook pages to catch what is coming up next and every single thing that we're doing. Listen, your guys' take of the Rear Panda section of our Facebook has just been so amazing. So if you want any more content, check out our social media pages. If you want to know anything else about Nathan, the tag to his social media pages will be right in the description below. We trust that we will see you again every Sunday at 5 p.m. when we go live. We love you.